what's up? I'm Maya,
This is your boy Shane.
and this is Tap In Nap, where we connect with the movers and shakers of Naptown to see what they're doing. So, today we have Rory Weather.
Hello.
Tell us about your business. Tell us about you.
Well, um, I have a business called Simple. Simple City is I would say the umbrella. Um, it's essentially design based, creative. I consider myself a creative designer. Um,
Consider you are.
Listen,
uh,
I saw your Instagram, okay? I looked. It was nice stuff.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But yeah, so essentially what I'm into is kind of finding ways to utilize design and technology to start a business, scale a business, and also kind of teach business. Um, Simple. I started it when I was in school. The name, it was pretty much came from my style of design or artwork, which was to keep things, fundamental at its core, but find different ways to add some creativity to it. And so changing the word simple with an S and changing it to a C was kind of my way of embodying that.
Keeping it simple.
Yeah.
Got
you
it.
And so yeah, I'm sure we'll be able to get in a little deeper, but essentially that's um, kind of what I do and what my business is about.
That's his business. Now we jump into, I don't want to say real life, like his business isn't real life, but
Right.
he is a designer, right? You work where?
Right now, I am doing design with Delta Faucet.
So the creative aspect and everything for you found a 9 to 5. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? That would support and promote, honestly, your business. So I think that's huge. That's a lot of people can't do that. I don't know any photographers out there that are hustling to be photographers, but I don't even know what the correlation to job would be. You know what I'm saying? To equate that. So
And maybe, like, for instance, I think it's kind of like trying to get creative in ways of it's a big world out there, and within the big world there's a lot of other small big worlds. For instance, when I was in school or when I started doing design or starting my own business, I didn't know that um, you could do corporate design from an e-commerce level all the way down to a marketing material level, where you could actually have a position at a Fortune 500 company or a big company, and you're keeping their website up to date, or and I knew that when I was in school or just getting into art and design that I wanted to find ways of bridging that gap between creative and corporate, and because it's when you think of art, you a lot of people tend to just think painting and
Yeah.
drawing, and design, or maybe the furthest people go is architecture. But I personally kind of got into corporate design uh, just doing research after I got out of school and kind of was gaining traction and figuring out what I wanted to do. I just started looking at positions out there. And as I started to look at what different companies are hiring for, I started to gear my actions and kind of the work that I was creating around that. For instance, you could be a graphic designer, which you solely focus on maybe flyers, some logo design, and things like that. But if you decided you wanted to up it up a level, you could look into becoming a user experience designer, which is similar to graphic design, um, well, user experience and user interface. User experience is is research that goes into design, which is a world. When I mention world within worlds, you know, and then you have user interface, which is what you see from a technical design, technology design, and with a graphic design background, if you research and dive into different corporate careers and what they're looking for, you'll see that what you do as a graphic designer isn't much different, but you're specifically focusing on something and doing that specifically for a company. And it may be a team of 5 or more people that specifically just research why are we going to pick the color blue for this design. And you know, you might have a graphic designer who's spending a lot of time struggling and working, uh, and maybe doing a lot of good work, but because you're just considering yourself a graphic designer or you're just working in that world, you're capping yourself. And so I kind of got into the journey of corporate design and working and getting a 9 to 5 position with different companies, bigger companies.
Get a resume, Playboy. Who all you work with?
So I've worked with Delta Faucet. I've worked with Abercrombie and Fitch. I've worked with Best Western International. I've also worked with a company called Wonder Spaces, which they were a startup company when I started with them, but they do interactive art spaces where, you know, the public can buy tickets, and it's pretty much like a maze museum, and all the artworks are interactive artworks. It's not fine art or something you just sit and stare at. And they get artists from all around the world and things like that. So far from a big company standpoint, those are some of the bigger names that I've worked with.
Stopped at Best Western. You know what I'm saying? Those are heavy hitters.
So, what inspires you to do what you're doing? What inspires you to just keep on keeping on?
For me, it's the idea of being able to be in a position to make a physical impact in the world.
Next question.
So, one thing I hate about the world we live in, or how the economy is set up, is that you have to spend majority of your life or a significant amount of your time in your life to position yourself to actually attack a goal or a dream that you've been having since you were a kid. Or
right.
For instance, I in the neighborhood that I come from, which is the east side of Indianapolis.
All these east siders. Can we get some west side in here? Oh my God.
Hey, don't be. Hey, we got a couple West Siders in here.
Oh, we do. Oh yeah. I mean, other than that. I'm sorry. Keep going.
And so, so being from the east side is, if you're from Indianapolis, a lot of people know it's not your most financially stable area. And since I was younger, I've just had dreams of revamping, renovating parks, bringing different community centers and daycares, just kind of this dream of enhancing it or living in a way that other people live.
Right.
And but I know in order to do that, it takes a lot of money. So now I have to create a business. Now I have to make all these connections. Now I have to, work on your credit, build up your financial history to actually be in a position to do something that you dream about. And so that's kind of just what pushes me, is to be able to make an impact physically for people to be able to see, and hopefully be in a position one day where I can kind of help people obtain their goals.
You got any ideas? You got what if somebody gave you like $2 million? I'm not talking like, I'm gonna go buy some Airbnbs, like
Correct.
I'm gonna go get some real estate. You feel me? Like, how would you, if they said this is money that you got to put into the community?
this is my kind of cat podcast right here because these are the questions that people really don't care about.
Boy,
Which
you
I really
here on tapping.
I care about. Okay.
So,
yeah.
for instance, one of the great ideas that is so a park that's from my neighborhood is West Montgomery Park.
Okay.
It's an indie park. It's still owned by Indie Parks, but it might be the worst looking park that Indie Park has. They don't weed whack. If they cut the grass, they're cutting over the trash that's in the grass, and parking lot is bad. Basketball courts are the same from old years. Baseball fields it just looks bad. And so in that sense of that, I had that amount of money, I would get creative with turning that into an area, some sort of community, sports, music, type of facility and grounds for it to kind of start bringing up the area, giving a lot of people in the area a chance to have nice things. And I think with that transition, a lot of that investment will go towards security and upkeep and maintenance because you can't.
I've been there once, and the police was there.
So
they just don't have the right security.
But just kind of spending that time, the people that kind of have the finances, there's no need to invest in the hood or low class areas because you're making money elsewhere. It's just so, and a lot of people, when we come from these communities and we make money, you kind of forget that when you're making money elsewhere, you forget that it's not even just about kind of just giving back. You can make money in the hood as well. Black people are spending the most money out of any culture. So, but I understand why a lot of people don't invest. It's just because you can make money elsewhere. But it's super passionate to me to be able to bring that lifestyle to the area that I'm from, because I believe over time, if that's shown and kind of represented, the area can grow. It can become more diverse.
Might just inspire somebody.
Right. Yep. Do you feel like you're making an influence on anybody right now, or do you kind of like, kind of small at what I'm doing, but like I have a trickle here, trickle there. You know what I mean?
So, I definitely think I'm making an impact. I have clients that I deal with, but I have youth in my family, friends with youth. I work with athletes, and
doing what?
I do a lot of different things with athletes, but so from a more of a youth standpoint, I'm just kind of being there for them, helping motivate them, getting them into camps, getting them around different coaches or different people within the sports world that can help push them to their goals and what they want.
First step.
But back to your question as far as the impact, I think just with time and resources, your impact is going to be able to scale and kind of be felt by, and that's why earlier I spoke of a park or a community center or daycare to be able to have that more wide range of an impact. But I don't because a million people don't know me, or I don't have a foundation under my name or a building where I don't let that kind of get in the way of the people that I am able to meet and see every day and what I'm able to leave them with.
Right.
So I think that I am making an impact. I think I can always improve with making a bigger impact. That's motivating. But I am, every day kind of trying to focus on making the biggest impact that I can with the people that I touch.
Who inspires you?
Who inspires me?
Are you one of those people, I'm self-motivated, and I'm self-made out the mud? No, I'm kidding.
Hey, I'm one of those people.
Yeah, I know. So
I try to let everybody around me inspire me. Even
you hear that? Can you say it one more time?
I try to let everyone that I come in contact with inspire me in different ways. And that's even if it's a person that I really don't like how they move or how they interact or how they treat people. I try to be inspired to even not
do that.
look like an idiot.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's
because
a
you could
good
just
way to put
overlook
that.
it.
Yeah.
You could just look at it as like, oh, that person's an idiot. Look how they act. And if you don't watch yourself, you could be that same person.
Right.
And
I definitely feel that.
and won't catch yourself.
I don't fuck with you.
Yeah, but it's those people that honestly might motivate me more. The people who I don't like in my lane, because it just makes me want to trump you that much more. You know what I'm saying? Like if I see you making a move, I gotta make 10.
Yep. Yep.
Do you feel like it's hard for you to stand out in the community and the things that you want to do? Because I mean, like you said, you are from the East Side. There are other names. I'm not gonna say bigger names, but there are other names who are big on the East Side and big in the community that people know. Do you feel like it's hard for you to like stand out or anything?
No.
Or do you want to stand out? Is the question.
I was about to get.
Yeah.
That was what I was going to get into. I really don't. I like want my impact to stand out, and my relationships with people to stand out more than anything. What they pull from me, what they say to other people about me when they leave. Not that if they were to say anything negative, it would affect me. It's I'm into people having a good experience when they interact with me, and if that's sacrificing a little bit of myself to make them comfortable and know that I'm genuine, then I'm willing to do that. But I think as far as popularity or bigger, I think that's kind of comes down to like personal goals.
Yeah.
There's people who may want to utilize popularity for their impact. I'm kind of a behind the scenes guy because I know that majority of people will not be the popular person. That's, you got to really either seek that or people really have to bring that to you. And for the most part, everybody in general population will be behind the scenes. And just because you're behind the scenes doesn't mean that money can't be big. You're
It's usually bigger.
And so I think that I'm in a good position because I'm actually attacking the business and the relationship aspect and kind of the information aspect as far as when I interact with community and youth and transferring information. And I think over time, if the people that I'm interacting with and the relationships that I'm building, if those populate, whether it's athletes, musicians, designers, if they become popular, my interactions with them could be popular. I kind of just I know a lot of unwanted attention and experiences can come with popularity or seeking that. And so I really don't even focus on that at all. I just I really am kind of preparing myself for the moment if I was super popular or in the position that everyone was looking for me to make a decision or represent in the right way. That's kind of what I wake up and focus on, is being prepared for that dream that I want or that position that I want to be in.
So far, what's the biggest lesson that you feel like you've learned? So what's the biggest lesson that you feel like you've learned?
I think the biggest lesson I learned is that there is no finish line to success. Success is kind of it's a mentality, and that's why you see a lot of people that are billionaires continuing to work or continuing to do things, and it's like, you got all this money, why are you still doing? It's because of they just want to continue to have an impact, and
throw some money and shit, and you have a hell of an impact, boy. That's it. Once I get money, it's over. Let it go and start helping the community.
But I'm sorry, but to kind of just finish elaborating on that, just being satisfied with the journey. You set goals, and a lot of until you reach your goals, you really don't know that when you there's more to set. And you can get, if you're not setting new goals, or you're not kind of treating every day like it's last, or looking to continue to get creative and improve yourself and learn more, then that's the start of your downfall.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely.
So that's the biggest lesson I learned, is just kind of fall in love with the process, because at that point of the recognition and success, when everybody is cheering and all that, that's when you need to be able to separate the real and fake, and the good and the bad. And I think that's the only way with doing it, is just kind of sticking to it, and kind of just not, I don't know, just not capping yourself.
that that right there is so important, because we as human beings, we're just so multifaceted anyway, whether we realize it or not. And for people to like put that cap on themselves, to me, is just wild, because it's just like, what for, when you can do so many things? Why cap yourself? Why not keep going? um can you tell me a single project that you've done that you're just like, yes, this is my best thing that I've done, and I want to, go further with it. This is why I want to go further. And then tell me something that you're like, you know what, I fucked this up.
In fact, people always go with the negative first.
Gotta go with it. You gotta end with the good.
Yeah.
But that's something that I messed up. I honestly, something that I
Or
messed
maybe
up.
that you rushed it and you're like, I could have taken my time on this project.
Hey, if it's nothing, hold that confidence, boy.
Right.
Say, I don't be fucking up at all.
Hey, listen, I fuck up every day. Every day.
I'm trying to think about something like really significant. I'm trying to get creative with it, so it's not just like, oh, I spilled a glass of water. But something that I really messed up on.
If it was like
I would say the process of so right now I've been working with a couple athletes and trying to take advantage of their name and likeness, because college players are allowed to now. And it's all just fairly new. And um, I think I really messed up, and this happens during the process. On a few of the orders, I had like my heat temperature on my machine set wrong. So I'm thinking that they're done and they're complete, and I send them out to customers, and then you get 5 to 10 emails saying, my image or my letters or a piece of my shirt is coming off, and all that. It hits in the moment. If you've never been through that before, it hits you like, oh my gosh, like I'm messing up, I'm terrible. How did I not get that right? But then the next step is just to figure out how the solution. The faster you could get to thinking about a solution, you might even be your solution could get the customer or the person to totally forget about what just happened, because you kind of bounce back so well.
Yeah.
And I would say, in that same sense, that's kind of been my most exciting thing and biggest thing I'm working on now, is dealing with uh, young athletes and helping them build their business side of things at the age that they are, as well as while they're working on their athletic side. So they have dreams of becoming professional, which is good. A lot of times they get on us about having those dreams,
Yeah.
but other cultures want to be professional athletes as well. So it's not bad. But the idea of that they're interested in being able to help them grow on the business side, to give them more leverage for if they go professional, or even if they don't, they know, they know what's going on out here. They aren't just naive to what it's gonna take in different interactions that are gonna have to happen to grow a business, or even get jobs and grow in your career.
It's so important to be well rounded, and it's so important that we teach our young Black youth, that there's so many sides to so many things. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
That's what I was gonna say. That's probably gonna be your biggest impact is the ability to get these kids around, whether it may be designing their own stuff, so the creativity behind it, what they do and don't want, contracts that get thrown in their face. That's gonna be a big thing. That's where I feel like a lot of people are. There's gonna be a struggle with the fact that college athletes can get paid now. There's going to be a struggle of, oh, well, I signed this paper because I'm 18, 19. I didn't have my parents there. I didn't think I needed them. I seen this money, but now you're signed to Zippera. It's not even a brand, but just like Zipper Athletics, for 10 years. You know what I'm saying? So definitely being able to get them used to that is going to be huge.
So were you an athlete? Is that why athletes are like have a whole
Yeah, so I grew up playing sports. I stopped my senior year in high school. I didn't play after that.
Would you play? You can't just be skipping over stuff.
I played football.
Football.
I played. So in high school, I just played football.
And where'd you go to high school?
Warren. And then but I didn't graduate from Warren though. My senior year, I graduated from Cloverdale High School.
No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's like halfway in between here and Terre Haute. Halfway point. And that's a whole nother story.
Hey, listen, we want to hear it.
Yeah, so my senior year, going into my senior year, my dad always had a dream of getting property and having his own land, building his own house. Ran across a Black family that lived out there and was selling their property. And my dad bought it and told me I was moving out there to help him build it. We lived in it was kind of, I would say, halfway done when we moved, before we moved out there, foundation and stuff. But we ended up staying in the RV, me and my little brother, my mom and dad. My other two brothers were in college at that point. Staying in the RV, working on the house. So we would come home from football practice, work inside the house, eat, or whichever one was first. Help my dad with different stuff around the house and wake up, do it over again until we could move in the house and then still be working in here, but moving forward. So that happened my senior year. Actually, I got into an argument with another player on the team, and it was a racist town. And so they kicked me off the team for arguing with another player. Same week that I won homecoming king for the school. I still really didn't even know anybody there, but I just got kicked off the team and stuff like that. And so that was just kind of the end of me wanting to pursue football. When I was raised, I was more so raised into hustling and education and trying to focus on business to make a living than sports. I was pretty decent growing up, but I never took it that serious and really lifted and got super into it just because it was never a realistic goal for me in how I was raised. But
so was it a culture shock coming from the east side of Indianapolis? Well, not was it, because obviously it was. How much of a culture shock was it from coming from east side of Indianapolis to going to almost Terre Haute?
It was pretty huge. I went from Warren, where you go into the cafeteria and there's an Outtakes that's like a little gas station store, and then you got a pizza line, a sub line, chicken sandwich line. You got options of variety. It's pretty modern. And then I go to a school like Cloverdale, and it's like the middle school lunches with the pizza with the little square pepperonis on it, or the chicken parmesan, the chicken patty with the sauce on it. And for the most part, people there were pretty cool. I actually, it's crazy. I ended up making friends with kids who parents and uncles and grandfathers were like positioned in the KKK and stuff like that, and all they knew about Black people was when they come to the state fair and they see the hood and Black people around there. They bring their farm animals and stuff, And I think it was a good, ended up turning into a good experience because I was able to see, oh, in a small town like this, in a, with racist history, most people that I interacted with were not like that. And then even some that had that kind of mindset were able to change in inner, or at least consider changing their aspects. And then for me, um, um, the way that I, looked at the small town, vice versa. They were able to see, oh, black people, all black people are in our hood, and you know,
So,
kind of the
you've
good
been
ones.
influential. That's why I like to hear you've been influential. So, are there any projects that are coming up for you that you want to talk about or that you can talk about that you're like super excited about?
Okay. Yeah, one thing that I'm super excited about right now is uh, for my brand, the Simple brand. Um, I'm positioning it to attack two lanes, and that's an affordable um, lane to focus on community, and then a more of a quality, higher end product for people that maybe have more or are in the position to focus on quality and quality management or just quality materials or products. Um, to me, that's kind of my biggest thing, and that I'm focusing on doing. It takes a little more time and resources because I'm trying to attack two things at once instead of just creating a product or doing something, focusing on one thing. But that's super big to me what I'm working on because it's gonna, to me, from a product standpoint, get the business and the brand mission out more, which is the sense of utilizing community and resources to eventually be able to position yourself to have a business and sell and or market products from from a affordable end to a high quality end.
Right.
And at that point of, from a fundamental standpoint, uh, um, from the information standpoint, when I think community, getting the information out on what is a product, how to create a product, what goes into designing a product or design in general, all the way to um, the details of having enough money to pay for higher quality and higher. At that point, that's where it kind of where money makes the difference. After you get the foundational ideas of how to resource, how to um, create out of nothing or using your resources around you, then you start to see, okay, this is why Nike can have products in 50 different states and create 20 different designs. You might have somebody who's inspired by Nike that's trying to create 50 different designs, but you're creating 50 different designs and you don't know how to market one design, one product. And this isn't just um, clothing. It transcends to all careers or entrepreneur careers or any type of product or creative um, ideas. You have to be able to look at things and scale them. So that's my passion. You see, I can ramble on about it, but that's my biggest passion is getting in a space where I'm able to create two products. One that's more of a community brand product that's just kind of affordable and everybody can represent or support the Simple brand from that standpoint, and no one's left out. And then a higher quality end of uh, being able to reach another crowd as you advance.
Right. You trying some money. No.
Or even if you take out the money, those interactions with those crowds, people with money live a totally different lifestyle
They'll
than
be the
people
ones.
without money.
They'll be the ones
And
buying
so
the
it's like
cheap stuff.
if you take the money out of it, the lifestyle of like their clothing, the foods they eat, how well kept their homes are, you know, investing in different things, what they like doing with their money, um, a lot of them have built up to the money that they have and the things they have. So it took some type of thinking or consistency to. So that's kind of the bridge I'm trying to get. I think everything that I said from the the park all the way to creating products and even the information side of and the education side, I think all of them interlock together. And that's my biggest, you know, I see it as a super big task ahead. It's not something that everybody will be passionate about or want to focus on, but I know we don't. Yeah, yeah. Yep.
One question I had was when you first started really selling stuff, and how did people react to your prices? What was the hardest thing about getting people to buy product, and just seeing outside of seeing the big picture? You know what I'm saying? Because there is a million clothing lines that are here for 6 months. You know what I'm saying? And then no longer. What was the hardest part of getting people to actually buy into Simple?
I think the hardest part for me was even before I created it though. Kind of to piggyback off of, like you said, people create something and it's gone tomorrow. They're not doing it anymore. I had that thought process before I started it, but I had to deal. The hard process for me was talking to others or having this idea that I wanted to get out there, but I needed to be patient enough to align my thoughts and uh, my plan of actions to kind of put myself in a position where people could actually like the brand and what it represents than a product or just feeling like somebody's trying to sell something to you. For me, Simple, I'm utilizing products and clothing. I'll just say products in general. Um, Essentially, to for example, just to because that's the way that it is for me to kind of grow and have a bigger impact. It's I can for me the information is free that I can give out to people on how to do that. But um, sometimes you got to be able to bring information to life.
Yeah. I feel like that's everybody's big problem.
I got an
idea.
idea.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, where was it at?
I definitely wanted, when I thought about Simple and before I even released a product, I was designing and in school, and I went through years of getting comfortable with what Simple was to me and what I thought it was before I even created a website and released a product. So I was doing logos, I was working on websites, I was creating, not marketing myself in that way, but I was creating shirts and for myself or even others in businesses before I even decided Simple's going to be the name of my business and this is how I'm going to promote it. So the hardest part for me is that patience and that confidence to actually um, plan and prepare before you launch something. A lot of people are looking at like the time that has passed, and now because you just have a great idea, it's just time to put it out there. But it's like one of the things that I hated about school, but it taught me anytime you had an idea the first day, teacher's like, all right, what's everybody's idea? And you feel super hype about it and you tell them, and they send you back to your desk with all of these bullet points of what you need to do to dig in deeper to your idea. And what about this? And what about that? And what about that? And then before you know it, you spend the first week is you figuring out the idea before you even start drawing or doing anything. And then I had to get over that hump.
And where'd you go to college?
I went to IUPY here.
Okay.
Downtown, here in School of Arts.
Nice.
Yeah. Super expensive, still in debt because of it. It's like, ugh.
Listen, come on, Joe.
I also learned
Help us out.
to the kids though. What's crazy about that is I've even learned that everything I learned in school I could have learned from YouTube
Too.
or books or
Ain't
anything
that the
like that.
truth, man? What you need to do, go get you that student loan and just hustle with it. All right? Learn, learn, learn. Go get that loan, and then, hey, you could even enlist. See what happens. Go to somewhere cheap. Not really go to class. You feel me?
Even
Tell
when
me.
see, like even in
Shame
pro,
giving
when
bad
I
advice, guys. I'm kidding.
look when I got in
No,
school, I'm literally like
No student loans.
like I'm literally from the east. It's not even about being from the east side. I come from a family where I don't have $60,000 to pay for a degree.
That part.
I was gonna, if I wanted a degree, I was gonna have to take out student loans. So for me going to school, I didn't. If student loans was gonna be $1,000,000, I was just gonna do it because kind of in the world we lived in at that point, the degree was gonna be the thing that gave you some advantage. It turned out it wasn't.
Well, I mean, but
In a
you
sense.
got your other jobs that are allowing your 9 to 5 that is still in your lane of creative.
But that's what I came to find out. I've met so many colleagues and people who, on their, they might even be able to do the work and be a professional at the work, but they'll say they have a degree and they don't have it, or they don't even mention a degree on their resume, and they're applying for a job that wants a degree, but once they look at your portfolio and see your work, it wouldn't matter if you had a Harvard degree. If this person's work is better, and they were able to find this position, apply, and appease to me, that's who we're gonna hire.
Yes.
My wife right now doesn't have a degree, and I won't say her salary, but she's making good money, and she's gotten promoted several times within her company, and she's in a position that all of those positions, quote unquote, needed a degree for. But just because of the relationship she's built and kind of the work ethic that she put into it,
and networking is so important.
and she still wants to go to school to get in it. For her, it's more of it's something you haven't done, and just more of a it's a more of a setting, students interaction, outside of the student loans, you get a lot of good friendships and interactions. And
I know waiters with degrees.
Yeah.
If I made it past, there's a point that once I step over and I'm like, I ain't got no degree yet. Looks like I didn't need one.
You don't.
I honestly feel, I'm trying to still get mine, so I get it. So yeah.
Unless, like, if you were to go into like broadcasting or media or something like that, if that's the route that you wanted to go. And that's another thing, is going right after high school where you really have no idea what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? So being able to explore a little bit, and then, all right, cool, I really fuck with this. This is what I want to do. So then let me try to get my degree in it.
Yeah.
You know?
And I feel like that's a route that a lot of kids should take.
Oh yeah.
Is exploring what it is you want to do before you spend that money. Because like you said, a lot of us do not have 60,000 plus to go to school. A lot of us don't even have the 1,500 for a class. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So it's like, I am all for taking that time to figure out what it is you want to do. If college is what you want to do, beautiful. I wish I would have taken the time to be like, okay, here's exactly what I want to do. Here's what I'm going for, take that time. But I 100% agree. Take the time to figure out what it is you want to do before you spend that money, or even if you do have the money, take the time to figure out what you want to do so you can get in and get out. That's how I feel. Honestly, that's how I feel about college. Get in and get out.
It's a thing of life is kind of just, I'm learning, it's a thing of self-reflection. So even for my, like I have a daughter, and even when I think of the youth and how I want to make an impact, for me, I have a goal of trying to help them tap into their creativeness. Over time as a human, even if you just sit at the house and play the game all day, if you did that for 18 years of your life, or that's what you're really into, you creatively, you can make a career out of that. But maybe your parent isn't telling you that. Maybe people are telling you you're gonna be nothing because all you do is sit and play the game all day. Now maybe it might not be the healthiest thing, or there's different things you can do to improve your life. But things that you're naturally into, that you do, you can make a career out of. But it's about shifting the way you think and kind of inspiring others.
100% agree. That's what I do with the kids that I work with. I'm like, hey, you like makeup? You looking at tutorials every day? Let's go and be this makeup artist. You know what I mean?
And that process of figuring out what you want to do starts earlier.
Yeah.
Because if you're encouraging them now and they start now and they're like, I don't want to do it. It's okay if an 8-year-old says she doesn't want to be it. It's different if you're 30 years old and you're saying, I want to be a makeup artist. No. Oh, or even, or even at 20, you spending money and wasting going to college. Oh, I want to be I want to go to college for communications. I don't know what I'm going to do. I want to do this. Right. And it's like, if you get started on that path early and get to just looking at yourself and seeing what you're naturally into, by the time you're in high school and going off to college, you could be in a position of being pretty sure and confident about who you are and what impact you want to make before you die. I'll kind of break it down to that. 100%. Like, you're going to die one day. You're going to die. Like, how do you want to impact? How do you want to impact? And the faster somebody could be thinking about that and being serious about that, time will progress. After 1 year, you've put in work. After 5 years, 10 years, now you can say you have experience and you know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
It's hard to do that if you jump in.
Exactly.
And you look back at your history and every 1 year you jumped, every 6 months you jumped, and you just kind of, now you jumpy. That's right, who you are. You jumpy. And we might be able to make a career out of that, but you gotta,
I know some people, and that is not a fact.
Not a fact.
Not a fact.
We can't make no career out of being jumpy. All right, fact.
We really appreciate you coming through.
Thanks for having me. Yes. Appreciate y'all.
Can you tell everyone where to find you?
Well, my Instagram personally is Rory Weather, RoryWeather. Instagram for Shop Simple is Shop Simple, simple with a C. So those are 2 Instagrams. You'll catch me in Indianapolis.
Naptown.
Interacting. I love supporting, I love supporting. I really think Indianapolis is in a way better creative space than it's ever been before. I think we're in a great space and time. So, you could just catch me with Set 3. Catch me on another podcast with you.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you all for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and follow. I'm Maya.
This Shane.
This is Tap and Nap.
Yes, sir.
Peace out.
Hell yeah. Good shit, boy.
Thank you so much.